Over the summer and early fall, the ASAE consultant members replied to a needs survey that the Key Consultant Committee sent out, and they analyzed results to give solid direction to our work coming up in the next few months. The ASAE consultant community is a very diverse community in terms of company size and the services that we provide. I'm Barbara Armentrout, and I have the privilege of leading the content task force of the ASAE Key Consultant Committee. Say that 3 times fast. And today we are kicking off a 3-episode series of conversations on one of the top topics that came out of the survey as both a concern and an opportunity for consultants: artificial intelligence. Today's episode will be how to use AI in your everyday work. In January, we'll have episode 2 focusing on AI policies for consultants, the why, the how, and the what. And then episode 3 will share AI tools we can all use to promote our consulting work, whether we're a larger company or, like me, a solopreneur. The main 3 data buckets that came out of the survey as needs and concerns are competency, financial success, how could I fumble over that one, and recognition and respect. And beautifully, this podcast touches on all 3 of those areas. Before I ask each panelist to introduce herself, I want to thank them for taking time out of a busy fourth quarter. That is one thing all consultants have in common. The fourth quarter is, oh my God, we didn't get this done. Let's get this done time. And I want to send a special shout out to our host, Cecilia Sepp, who made Rogue Tulip's facilities and her reputation available for us to do this podcast. And it's a perfect example of the sharing and caring that characterizes what we're trying to get done. So, Cecilia, I ask you, for once being a guest on a podcast, to tell us about yourself and the services you offer as a consultant, other than your wonderful podcast work.
Oh, well, that's great. Well, thank you, Barbara. And it is a pleasure to be here. As you all know, I have been a longtime advocate for the consultant community across the board, not just through our ASAE membership, but through our entire nonprofit management community. And as Barbara said, I'm Cecilia Sepp. I'm a certified association executive, an advanced certified nonprofit professional, and a leadership professional in ethics and compliance. Rogue Tulips Consulting is my company where I focus on executive leadership and some specific areas like chapter relations, membership relations. We also do a lot of research projects for our clients. I do speaking engagements to help share all the knowledge and experience I've gathered over the years. And I also have an education program called Rogue Tulips Education, which helps people get ready for the CAE exam. We also offer an ethics course. And of course, as Barbara kindly mentioned, I am the host and producer of Radio Free 501c, a podcast that has exceeded 300 episodes. I also author a blog every week called Rogue Speak. So glad to be here.
Is that all? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Laura, I know that's a little bit of a tough act to follow, but you can do it. Tell us about yourself.
Hi, I'm Laura Caputo, a strategy and operations consultant with a background in law and experience supporting associations since 2019. I help organizations streamline operations and speak on practical everyday uses of AI for professionals across industries. I also co-founded AI Kids, an education program that introduces children to AI. So explaining complex ideas in simple ways is my sweet spot.
Oh, very nice. And Sherry.
Great. So glad to be here with you guys today. This is going to be fun. So I have spent more than 3 decades helping associations navigate digital disruption. I founded .org Source 20 years ago because, I felt then that associations needed a partner who understood both their mission and the mechanics of digital change, and digital still continues to change, doesn't it? So since then, I've worked with more than 350 organizations, helping them modernize operations and prepare for the future. And today, my focus continues to be on helping leaders build future-ready organizations, blending smart technology strategy with humanity that actually makes change stick. So I just released our heart powered leadership framework that really just reminds people that technology is only as strong as the culture supporting it.
Harry, that was a great segue to what we're going to talk about next. I know at OrgSource, you and your team have been AI pioneers and trailblazers, both on behalf of your clients, but also on behalf of productivity for your team. So can you share with us some of your high points and maybe areas to avoid, and perhaps give us a look back at your session from late November on using AI to improve productivity?
Sure. So we've been talking about associations getting ready for Industry 4.0 and AI since I think probably 2018. But it's here. It came fast. I don't think people were ready, even though we tried to explain how rapid was going to come to play. But for us as a consultancy, we've been doing a couple things. We started, of course, just staying up with everything that was changing. I think I probably spend 15, 20 hours a week either learning or seeing what's happening out there every day, and trying to train associations on how to use these tools or LLMs. But for us, we're also looking at first improving internal operations, time billing, assessments, reviewing outputs. We just recently, that was eye-opening, is I was like, why do I feel so busy all the time? So I actually used Copilot in our Teams Microsoft environment, and it showed me that how many emails I was sending every month, how much time I was spending on meetings, and it was eye-opening. But really quickly,
Did it
I was
shake a
able to see.
scolding finger at you for being so
Yes, yeah, pretty much. It said stop sending those 5,000 emails. And so we intentionally did that, and we actually moved to like Teams chat because not all of us were using chat. I realized like we were sending too many emails. So we were able to make some adjustments to even our own processes, and then just trying to bring that knowledge So
because before you can help your clients, you have to be comfortable with the tools yourself.
absolutely. And then you mentioned the session. I'm actually, what people will ask me all the time is like, Sherry, just show me examples of how associations are using these tools. So I recently did the webinar with Liz from the North Carolina CPAs. So she showed some things in action, and if anybody wants a link to that video, I would be happy to send that to them.
Fabulous. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Laura, I loved attending one of your sessions at the Florida SAE in the summer of 25. Are we still in 25? Yes. On AI. And I think you mentioned that you tested more than 100 tools so that we didn't have to, which was great. And then you recently challenged those of us on the panel to nominate 5 time sucks we face as consultants. I'm curious what you can share from that. What were the top time sucks other than we now know Sherry's?
Well, it's a really fun thing to do, and it's an exercise that everyone should think about, which is to kind of step back and look at the things that you spend most of your time on, just like Sherry was talking about. When you have a tool like Microsoft and Copilot where it analyzes it for you, if you live in that ecosystem, absolutely. You go there first. But otherwise, just take a little notebook and write it down or think about it, and you're going to see that similar to this group, you probably have the same challenges. So the 5 top time sucks are little time vampires that are stealing our time and enjoyment and energy. It came into 3 themes. So these themes are admin and financial tasks, communication overload, and data and content management. So those 3 things. So admin, communication, data management. So digging down further, what does that really mean? So we have the admin and financial tasks, top offenders, billing, accounting, proposals, those things. We lose so much time dealing with these things. I actually wanted to ask you, because I know that all of you probably have anecdotes of dealing with this, something that might have wanted to make you pull your hair out. Sherry, Barbara, anything comes to mind specifically when I mention these?
Well, I mean, and here I am speaking consultant to consultant, but I know some association execs will be listening. I don't know that there's an appreciation for the number of hours and soul searching that we put into proposals that we send out to prospective clients and existing clients, and find out weeks later that they still haven't had time to read it. And it's just like a dagger to me, you know?
Yeah. And Laura, we've created an agent to help us with that now, that proposal
Tell us
development.
more.
So,
Tell us more.
yeah. So we've had some iterations of it. But we basically took our proposals that we've done in the past, and we've created, well, I do a few things. So I'll take either the notes or a transcript if I have them, and I created kind of a scope of work agent that will create the draft of the scope of work. And then we have a template that we use, and that was kind of our second iteration. So we've been doing that. That kind of got us probably 50% there, right? Just helping with language and that review. But then we've now added in, because our template is in PowerPoint. So that's really hard to take from that summary into the format. So we've just recently added kind of another iteration to that agent, trying to create that. And we're probably about, I think 90% there. It's not 100% there, but it's good enough. The other thing, because our work at our organization isn't just around technology, but we have consultants that work on business strategy, strategic planning. So sometimes some of us don't know where those assets are. So now that agent at least helps us find the last proposal or the last couple proposals in our team's environment. We're like, go out and find XYZ. And that just saves time digging through, what we've done in the past to kind of use or modify.
And
So
and I bet your agent will be here. I'm stepping on your time, Laura. Sorry.
No,
But
this is what it's
bet
about.
your agent will be able to go back after a year of using it and say which of these template proposals was more successful or not. And of course, the whole reason behind that is we work with associations. We never really know what they'll take or not, but just to know what experiments were paying off. And your
yeah.
agent can do that.
And that's a good question, because I always say with all of these tools, it's asking the right question, right, Laura? Like, you ask the right question of like, where are we spending our time, but really asking those questions of, that next iteration. So it's it's fun, right?
Yeah. So with that, like even with AI kids, when we're teaching kids, and I'm a lawyer, so asking questions is so important. How good the question you ask equals the great output that you get. So even with that, just thinking about the tools that we use on this one, because you mentioned the Asian, and that goes to our third theme. But one of my clients is using something called Quiller. Have you heard of that one? It's QWILR to do their proposals.
I've seen the name. I know
Have not.
nothing about it.
Okay, check it out. I don't know what it costs. It probably is pricey. This is a for-profit client, but it emails you as soon as anybody opens your proposal. It has a little bank of every single drag and drop of previous proposals. If you just want to drag and drop this part, drag and drop this part. So very nice. I'm enjoying using it. Super intuitive and very easy. And you can export to PowerPoint. So there's one of your tools of the day.
Oh, and you can
You're
export to
welcome.
PowerPoint. Yes.
Yes. Yes. So with that top offender, the billing accounting proposal. Theme 2, communication overload. We already started touching on it with emails, people sending too many emails. I'm working with a client right now and I'm begging them. I'm like, so what tools can we use for email management? I'm very fortunate. My husband is like a certified PMP style person. So we're talking about like using different systems for the reading and review and action and all the things we can do to help people manage that complete onslaught of email that they use when they're at the executive level. So email management, universal drain, the responding, the sorting, the archiving, so much pressure to keep up with inboxes. And then the calendar aspect, when you work with multiple clients, especially if you're embedded in an organization, can be overwhelming and sometimes just really hard to keep track of. The theme 3, that data and content management that you said, is finding these files. We're dealing with so much data. Where do we put everything? How do we keep track of it and keep it organized? Especially because we don't all think the same. One
Mhm.
thing might go somewhere for one person, but it doesn't work that way for somebody else in their own logic. This is why with AI, when you set that up to ask the right question, it will follow the steps the same way, ideally.
Wow, that's
So,
fabulous. Well, thank you. Cecilia, I want to get you in our conversation here. And partly I'm curious because you're a seasoned podcaster as well as a consultant. I'm curious about any AI tools or tech tools that you have begun using as a podcaster that may or may not inform your consultancy.
That's a great question, Barbara, because as we all know, AI is just baked into everything now. So we're using it if we realize it or not. So it's been in office for years. So that's what spell check and grammar check is.
Mhm.
So that's, I recently wrote a blog post about Clippy the paperclip, who we may recall from many years ago. And
I love
Clippy used to pop
Clippy.
up in very inopportune moments
Yes.
to make suggestions that we didn't need and actually got in the way. And so it's one of the things I've noticed. I actually wrote another blog post called Annoyingly Intrusive, because AI is trying to force itself on us in certain situations. And it's like, I am not against AI. I am not a Luddite, but I want to use the tool when I want the tool. I don't want the tool forced upon me. So that being said, when I do my production for my podcast, I use something called Power Director 365, and they are every week almost adding new AI capabilities into the software. So for example, I can go in and use AI to clean up an audio file. I can go in and use it to put in backgrounds. I can use it to turn people into avatars if I want to, which I don't usually do. But it's a really robust program, and it's, again, because it's got so many AI tools built into it. And as far as on the consulting side, I do not use generative AI for my client work, but I do use it for marketing. So we will use AI to do some marketing promotions, like, hey, Google Gemini, which is my tool of choice. I have tried Copilot, I've tried Gemini, I've tried ChatGPT, I looked into Claude. And I used to use Google Gemini when it was Google Bard. I was one of the beta users. And so I've seen it evolve. It's very quick. Like I was having a conversation with actually Sherry and Barbara about, I don't know, a week or two ago at this point. It was a while ago. And I was telling them how I used Google Gemini to find a flower pot that was big enough for this 20-plus-year-old ficus tree that I have, because I just couldn't find one. And I'm like, hey, Google Gemini, this is what I need. And it gave me suggestions. And so I was able to find it very quickly. So I love
But it
AI
didn't
for
help with the repotting.
No, not yet. The poor plant's still waiting, Barbara, but no, it doesn't help with that. But that is, I think, a very focused use of it. And I know a lot of people use it to do the task of the work. So, for example, again, not being a Luddite, if I have several focus group scripts or transcripts, I should say, that I've been going through, I'll go through those and then I'll say, let me put these in Google Gemini and see what it finds as themes. I want to make sure I'm on point and I'm not missing something. But I also always footnote that it is always noted in the report that I have used some sort of an AI tool to do research, and I always double check everything, which Google Gemini always reminds you to do. And it's a good thing for anything, though, to make sure that we're doing that. So as far as that, both consulting and as a content creator, that's really my approach. And I have my AI policy on my website.
I think in some ways using AI is like having a genius new hire because it's really, really smart, but we really do still have to check their work. And we have to be sure that the person is always still, there's always humanity in it. I think that was the word you used, Sherry. The humanity is still in it. Yes. Yes.
I have to piggyback on Cecilia's mention of finding themes from interviews, because I have a little story that it's a
good.
warning for all, because I am an avid user of AI, of course. But no, you have to check your work, just like she says, that humanity aspect. So I had, let's say, 20 interviews. and 20 questions to every single one. And so I had that all in a long document with quotes, not quotes for every single one, because sometimes an individual might not answer that question. So if you, as a consultant, most of you have done this, you know that they might not answer everything exactly, so it might not line up to your questions. So after we built these themes, I was working with AI to ask, hey, look for quotes that support this theme. So it pulled some quotes and put it in. And so I was checking on it and I say, this doesn't look very familiar. And what happened is, so I said, what page and where do I find this? So I go into my document and I look for it, and it said it was on page 6, number 18. I go to page 6, number 18. No, this person had never answered that question. So AI completely made up the quote. So this is just an example of these hallucinations and things, and you always have to check your work. So I will absolutely say use it, try it for everything, but no, you should check your work. Never trust, do not trust completely.
Well, it's funny that AI is such a people pleaser, you know?
Yeah, that's
it tells us
interesting.
what we wanted to hear, even though you didn't hear it. Oh my, amazing.
Yeah, there's an old saying, Laura, trust but verify. So I think that's what we have to do. And like you said, Barbara, it's like having a super smart new employee. You know, they're super smart and they're doing good work, but you want to make sure it's consistently good work.
Yes. Sherry, you look like you were ready to pop something in there.
Oh, no, I just agree with everything that's being said. And Laura said you always have to think about, because sometimes it does fill the gaps. And so, yeah, so we definitely need to make sure that we are reviewing that work and very closely and in detail. Because I think what AI has also done just from, I think I always talk about it can speed things up, right? And so we're moving faster and we're getting results from these tools. So taking that pause and making sure that, things are correct is more
Because
important
it's our
than ever.
reputation.
Yes, for sure. 100%.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Sherry, Laura, and Cecilia. This has been great. And a reminder to our listeners, this is episode 1 of 3 parts. So we have 2 more that will be coming out early in 26. And Cecilia, share a little information with us on where this can be found. You were going to hone this in your YouTube channel.
Yes, thank you, Barbara. Yeah, so Road Tulips is supporting the series. And so we will have this video on our YouTube channel, but the link to the video will be available widely. So you will be able to easily find it. We'll be posting it in ASAE Collaborate. And I'm sure we'll all want to share it on our own websites and in our own newsletter. So watch for that.
And I'll use some AI for the marketing pieces. Yes.
Yeah. And I got a couple new tools to look into, so I'm excited about that.
Yes. And as a couple of reminders, this is a pilot program under the, let me say it one more time, the Content Task Force of the ASAE Key Consultant Committee. So we very much do want to get listener feedback. Direct it to me if it relates to future episodes or it contains criticism. Direct it straight to each panelist if you want to praise her and say what a great job she did. And remember, the opinions expressed today are our own, shared with the intent of helping our fellow consultants achieve your own professional and personal goals.